The following is a local resident producers program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of CATV2, Oshkosh Community Access Television, the City of Oshkosh, the Oshkosh Cable Television Advisory Commission, or Time Warner Cable.
Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Eye on Oshkosh. Cheryl Hentz here along with my co-host Dan Rylance, and on this edition we're very pleased to be joined by a local pastor who is undertaking a community project as a private citizen rather than as a minister. This is Pastor Joe Grier. He is with Grace Chapel Church here in Oshkosh, but what he's here to talk to us about is a community venture that he's undertaking. It's kind of an art type venture. You are with the Community Theater Group of Oshkosh, and you have undertaken efforts to renovate and bring back to life the what most of us who have been around here for any length of time know as the Time Theater downtown.
Yes.
So welcome. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here.
Thank you very much.
And we want to talk about what you've got going on now. As I said, you've changed the name, or you are going to be changing the name to call it Time Community Theater, and your group is Community Theater Group of Oshkosh.
Yes.
You know, how did you come to get involved in this? How did you come to be involved in this?
Well, I'm a musician, and I've been a professional musician in the past before I went into the ministry, and so I enjoy music. I play music, I write music, and I've just, over the last few years, I've just come in contact with a lot of the music folks here in Oshkosh and have come to realize the incredible resources that we have in this city. Musical resources, musicians and singers. I mean, it's just amazing the amount of talent we have in Oshkosh and the Fox Valley. And then also seeing that there really wasn't a venue for people, musicians, to come and share their talents and stuff other than in the bars and the taverns and things like that. And we've got a great showcase place here in Oshkosh, the Grand Opera, you know, and it's beautiful and everything, but say, for example, if a musician or a band wants to put on a concert, they're not going to have the kind of financial resources to rent out the Grand Opera House on any kind of regular basis, because it's just not possible for them on the budget that they have. And I was thinking about that. I would really like to see a place where these bands and musicians and stuff could come and have a place where they could share their talent with the city, where their fans could come and listen to them and everything. And then it was just a thought. So I just started looking around town, and well, I could use this or I could use that. Then I read an article in the paper about the Time Cinema and the Staple family wishing that it could be used and revived and whatever for the city, and I was like, I wonder, So I gave Jim Staple a call, because I've started other groups and other nonprofits before. This isn't my first nonprofit, and I talked to him on the phone, and then I went in and saw him, and I said, what would you think? I read the article in the paper. What would you guys think if I were to head up a group and begin a nonprofit organization to run and direct the theater and get our tax exempt status from the IRS, and then we could, make it a community theater, receive community funding, grants, loans, etc., but nonprofit, and then just make it available to the whole community for different purposes. So, and then by that time, my vision had expanded from just music concerts to small theater groups, children's theater groups, dance recitals, film. We've got a whole film department over at UWO, and the kids that go to school over there, yes, they can show their work on campus, but wouldn't it be neat if they had a place where they could come in town that was affordable, if they had a film production that they wanted to just kind of introduce to John Q. Public and do it at our theater, you know, that kind of thing. So I talked to Jim about that, and he's very open to the idea. Then I did tell him, I said, you know, I've started other nonprofits before, and they're still running. And I said, so I do have, you know, because I was kind of the one that got the Labor of Love House going across the street from here, and got that nonprofit going as a maternity home. And I said, I know how to start things, and then I get them going and get good people in on the board, and then I kind of bow out, you know, because I'm not good at maintaining things. I can get them started, but I'm not good at maintaining things. That's for other people with other talents and gifts. And he said, sure, you know, let's think about it. So then I started talking with other people in the community, musicians that I knew, and other theater people, and, you know, would you guys be interested in this kind of thing? And they said, sure, you know. So, yeah, it's little by little we started putting some ideas together, and now we're at a point where we have a board of directors. We are now called Community Theater Group of Oshkosh, Inc., and we're working together with some folks who know some of the legal ins and outs to get a corporation started. We just drafted our final bylaws for the corporation. Last week, finalized those, appointed and elected our officers for the corporation. So we're going to be submitting and sending off those bylaws to to Madison, the Secretary of State Madison, in the next couple of weeks. Get that back, and then we send all that other information to the Internal Revenue Service, get our nonprofit status, and then we can start going to the community and asking for donations or whatever to get the theater up.
Okay.
I talked to Jim earlier today.
Okay.
He's a big supporter.
Good.
And, you know, he said he wants it to go. He's not going to rent it out from under you. And, you know, so I think and he wants that thing to go.
No, he does.
Yeah.
And
Very enthusiastic about it.
He's been very supportive, and he's, you know, he's like, you know, he's going to be working with us on the board too. So that's been a real positive thing too. So I know that there's a lot of really great people, great Oshkosh citizens who want to be involved in this. And I love this city. I've been here 17 years, and I've fallen in love with this city, and I want to do my part to make it a better city. And my feeling is, look, this building's been sitting vacant for a number of years. The Rebel Alliance tried to make a go of it there, and weren't able to continue. But there's no reason why it needs to sit vacant. It's a theater. It needs to be used as a theater. You know, you can't. The floors are all slanted.
Whoop, you just lost your microphone there.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I'm getting
but we
too
want people
animated.
to hear you.
Sorry about that. The floors are precast concrete, and they're slanted. So it's like, how can you just go in there and make something else out of it? It needs to be used as a theater, and I'm seeing that this is a niche, and it'd be a great niche to fill in the city, you know. So.
What do you play as a musician?
I play guitar, lead guitar, yes.
Okay.
Played guitar for years, played back in the 60s and the 70s. I was a hippie. And
Who's your favorite guitarist?
Jeff Beck.
Okay.
Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, those guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I go back that far and played that kind of music way back when, and you know, our band opened up for people like Janis Joplin and different ones back in the late 60s. So I've been down the road a piece with music, and I just have this real heart for musicians and for them being able to share their craft with people. And like, I just feel that this is a great opportunity. All the way up from the high school guys who have their garage bands all the way through to the professionals.
You had mentioned, Joe, about the Rebel Alliance Theater, and you know, they did try and get something going there. Do you know offhand what happened, why they were no longer able to remain there?
You know, I honestly don't. Kelly Duhachik is on our board, and she is also the head of the Rebel Alliance Theater. She got as excited as we are about this when she first heard about it. But I've not really talked in detail with Kelly about the demise of the Rebel Alliance in this building, although they are currently still going. But
Yeah,
they're in
in
Omro.
Omro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in Omro right now, and they're doing fine there. Why it didn't make a go here, I don't know. But they tried. They had independent theater presentations and performances there, but for some reason it just didn't catch. You know. We're a little different because what we're going to do is make this a multi-purpose theater. So it's not just going to be theater productions here. We're going to do everything here. And we're going to make it available to the community for just about any kind of thing. if somebody wants to come in and rent it out for a night or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, they'll be able to do that.
And how often will it be open where there are performances going on? Will that just depend strictly upon what someone's particular need is?
Yes.
Or what performances you're showing? Or will you have set like every weekend and maybe Thursday through Sunday, and you'll schedule events that way?
We're going to schedule events,
Okay.
and probably the most active nights will be those nights, Thursday through Sunday. But you know, like for example, they've got these great family night movie nights on the plaza downtown, free. Moms and dads can bring their kids. They can lay on the grass and watch the movie. I was thinking, why not open the theater up one night a month or one night a week or something in the winter, and have free family movie night there in the place. Or maybe there's a musician that wants to do a recital and needs a different kind of venue, or can't afford some other venue in town. They could come in and do a recital. We'd like to have it booked 7 nights a week. That would certainly be our goal. I don't know if we'll be able to achieve that right off the bat, but we're gonna book it as solid as we can.
Okay. So, well, the acoustics there are wonderful.
Yes.
And so the projection equipment, if you were going to show movies, that is still in good working condition, or you'd have to...
there is no projection equipment there right now. So that's going to be part of the expense in getting the theater up and running again. Is we need a first-class sound system, stage lighting, a stage, and then we're going to continue to show movies there. So that means that we're going to have a good DVD projector in there. We're not going to use a film projector.
Yeah. Right.
It's just those are going to be outdated anyway pretty soon. So we're going to get a first-class DVD projector for in there and use that.
Okay. So you said you need a stage too. It's been years since I've been in there. Is the place then completely gutted, if you will, in the inside?
No, it still has some of the theater seating.
Okay.
So I would say the majority of theater seating is still there. So that's there. The seats are actually in pretty good shape. They're just dirty. So we're going to get in there and put some elbow grease into it and get the cushions and the upholstery on the seats cleaned up. But it needs a stage, so we're going to have a stage built. We're going to have to put up a regular stage curtain for it and put stage lighting on it if we really want to do it right, which I do.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Do you have a timetable for raising the amount of money you need, and when you think you might be ready to go, or is that too early to ask?
I would be, I'd be surprised if we can get this thing up and running in a year.
Okay.
I think it's going to take a year of just going to the community, going to the foundations, going to the people in the community who are interested in this project and saying, we need your help.
Have you started fundraising at all?
This will be our first fundraiser.
Okay.
Should I show the poster
yeah.
now?
Sure.
Yeah,
Let's
please.
Okay,
hold this up.
the very first fundraiser is going to happen on July 7th, and it's a gallery walk day. And so on July 7th, it's a Saturday, we're going to start at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and we have booked several bands and music acts. They are going to come in and perform at the theater, and we're going to just open up the doors to the theater and let whoever wants to come on in and listen to the music. We're not going to charge anything to come in and listen to the music. We're going to serve refreshments, but we are going to have some offering baskets, so to speak. That's my orientation, offering. So anyway, offering baskets out there, and we're going to encourage people to donate to the cause of the theater. And our goal for this July 7th benefit is $1,000, because those are going to be the legal fees and everything we have to pay to get ourselves incorporated and to get our nonprofit status. If we can get that kind of money raised, we'll feel like a great success that day. Then the bands are going to play for free. We're going to have the comedy magic of Mike Schrader. He's going to be there all day out on the sidewalk performing street magic. And we're even talking, he does his act in Las Vegas. And he's a local guy who does magic in Las Vegas. He escapes from a straitjacket while he's hanging from a crane.
Wow.
And we're going to try to get a crane in somewhere and see if he can do it. I'm letting him handle that, but he's going to try to get a crane in and see if he can escape out of a straitjacket that day.
So
But
Saturday,
the
July
music is going to be
7th,
great.
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
to 10
till
p.m.
10 p.m.
Okay.
And we'll be in the time
Good. Thank you.
that time theater for that whole event.
Good. And now, altogether, we were talking beforehand, you need to raise about $100,000 all told, right?
A minimum of 100,000,
Okay.
and what that's going to do is first of all help us renovate the walls. The walls of the theater need new. There's burlap curtains, much like what we have here for soundproofing. They're old and stained and dirty. They need to be replaced, and then the ceilings aren't all in bad shape. And then when Marcus Cinema owned the building, they walled off the balcony so that they could put a second movie screen upstairs and run 2 movies at a time. That's a temporary wall. We're going to tear that wall out and open up the balcony, which will add about 85 more seats to the theater. And it's really going to open up the theater quite a bit when we get that big, it's a huge false wall up there that just needs to come out. So yeah, we're going to do that. That's going to take some money, just removing that, because that you can't use volunteer help to do that kind of thing when you're 20 feet up in the air. Then we're going to need new carpeting, new lighting in the place. The bathrooms need to be redone. So everything needs to be redone inside the theater, the cosmetics of it. The building itself is solid, the furnace is in great shape, and the roof is in great shape. The building itself is great. And then the final thing is the facade of the building needs to be completely redone. So I'm in the process of discussing with an architect here in town about how we're going to redo the outside of the building for the front to make it look more attractive.
Okay. Just a question has just come to mind here. You're talking about a lot of structural work. I mean, yes, some are cosmetic type things,
Yes.
but then you've got a lot of structural work when you
Yes.
start talking about redoing bathrooms and the facade and so forth. You had mentioned that you're only looking at renting this building
Yes.
for now.
Yes.
Possibly
Yes.
buying it in the future.
Yes.
Are you working something out with Mr. Staples so that, because obviously you're improving his building.
We're improving his building. That's why we asked him to be on the board of directors. And to be real honest, if that hadn't happened, I don't think I'd be going ahead with this project because of the very thing that you're talking about.
So
But fortunately, he wants to work with us on this, and if it'd be enough, and it would also create a second problem, and that is when we went to the community to ask for funding for it, they'd all be asking us the very same question. You guys don't own this building. Why should we be giving you money to repair somebody else's building? And now I can say, well, Jim is involved. He's invested with us.
This is a
And it's
win-win
gonna
for
help out.
Jim. A better building,
Yes.
and he's a big promoter of Uptown, so
He is.
everyone wins on this.
Everybody
Huh?
wins on it, and if we can carry it through, it's going to be a great asset for the downtown.
well, and if you do decide to purchase it at some point down the road, hopefully Mr. Staple will give you a good deal on the price.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
He's giving us a very reasonable price on the lease, so I can't complain.
Who will be at this fundraiser? Give us some names.
Okay, we have.
Because I know they're on there, but I don't know
yep.
that anyone could really see them.
Okay, we have Copper Box. They're going to be the headliner for the beginning of the show at 1 p.m. Jazz Orgy, which these are the guys that play down at Peabody's on Sunday nights and all over the Fox Valley. Great jazz group. Asylum Point Band. Soundtrap. Soundtrap is they're younger musicians. I think they're fresh out of high school. Rock and roll, heavy metal, whatever. Sly Joe Stevens. Corey Chisel. Corey is the head man for the Wandering Sons, up-and-coming band that are around here. Late Night Arrival, another band that's local. Marblehead and the Blues Busters. That's Rick Mackey and his friends, and they'll be playing some jazz. Mike Schrader and the Bakers. So we've got... and the Bakers, it's not the whole band. It's just a couple of the guys from their band. They're going to be there.
Are you going to be playing at all?
I have a band.
Do you? Are you?
We're going to fill in. We're
Okay.
going to fill in the gaps.
What's the name of the band?
Our band, we just named it tonight.
Okay.
We just had a rehearsal before I came over here. It's called Freddie or Not.
Freddie or Not?
So we'll see.
Okay, neat.
What other kinds of events will you have coming up? Will it just be musical events such as this, or will you, throughout the summer maybe have some kind of corn roasts around here seem to be big things.
I have no idea. And the reason I don't know is because this is taking a lot of time for me just to put this one
Sure.
benefit together.
Sure.
And because I'm working full time, that's why I said it's going to take a year or so to get this off the ground. So what I'm doing is I'm leaning really heavily on our board of directors. to help me out and give me some ideas on fundraisers. My guess is we're going to be having more concerts down here for more fundraising, brat sales, corn roasts, whatever we can do to raise money to get this thing going. But my guess is the bulk of our time is going to be sitting down and writing out proposals for grants, grant proposals and things like that to the people who have the larger amounts of money who can help us get started as a community project.
Okay. Well, this fundraiser is only a couple weeks away as we tape this, and help me out here with this, Joe. According to the newspaper, if when people go, they're going to be able to take a self-guided tour of the theater.
Yes.
So it's safe from that standpoint.
Yes.
No one's going to get hurt.
Nobody can get hurt.
And,
we'll actually have a couple of bathrooms running.
All right, there you go. That's always an important thing
important,
when you got a whole crowd of people. And then also there's, according to the newspaper, it says they'll be able to see a three-dimensional video of what the theater is going to look like post-renovations. Is that
Yes, we
still-
were going to do that.
Okay.
And the architect who was going to do it for us ran out of time. He had a new project, so we cannot get that
Okay.
yet. We are going to have it, but we're not going to have it in time for July 7th.
Okay, so at some future fundraiser or
Yep.
event.
That will be
Okay.
available.
Now, obviously, I mean, you need money, that's true, but you probably, it sounds like, need volunteers as well to help with
Yes.
this.
I mean, even this week, you know, we've been down cleaning the theater and just getting it ready, just sprucing it up a little bit. And so there's always going to be opportunities for people to volunteer to come in and clean. Performers, it's a performing arts theater, so performers who want to do future benefits, yes, we need that. Ideas, you know, from the community as to how we could arrange a benefit so that, you know, we could raise money. All kinds, people that know how to write grants, that kind of thing. We're going to need a lot of help as we go along.
Well, I'm sure at some point even just making phone calls or, you know, sending out letters or what have you.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
you probably need any kind of warm body to do
We
almost
do.
anything.
And we don't have a treasurer yet for our board of directors, and it's very important, got to have a treasurer. So, I mean, we're welcoming new board members too to come on board with us.
What's the easiest way for someone who's going to watch this show to get a hold of you?
They can call me at my office telephone,
Okay.
which is 232-5683.
Okay.
And that would be the easiest way to get a hold of me.
No email address?
I have an email, and it is joe@gracechapel.oshkosh.org.
Okay. And unfortunately, as viewers probably are aware, we're not putting things up on the screen, and we couldn't on the last show either. The character generator here at the OCAT Studios has malfunctioned, and they have a new one, but it's not been set up yet. So
Okay.
that's why. But I will be sure and put this on my website.
Thank you.
So it's Joe at Grace Chapel
Oshkosh.org.
Oshkosh.org. Okay. And I'll put the phone number up there.
Thank you.
And your email address as well. And then, you know, whatever else you'd like us to share with the audience on the website, I'll be
Okay.
happy to do that as
Okay,
well.
great.
When all is said and done, what is your final goal for this whole thing? What's your ultimate dream for the time?
The ultimate dream for the time would be to have a community-friendly theater that looks good, that's comfortable, that's attractive, not only on the inside but the outside, and then attractively priced for those who want to use it for performing arts. And I'm into just whatever kind of performing arts are out there, folks that are musicians, theaters, whatever. My dream would be to make that available to the community. Now this is a nonprofit organization, and I have my fingers in other nonprofits. So part of my dream is to use, hopefully someday, some of the funding from this to help support charitable ministries or charitable, like say for example the house across the street, the maternity home across the street, to help fund other charities, local charities. I'm also on the board of directors for an AIDS clinic in India that we just got started last year. And it'd be wonderful to be able to send off, you know, if we were to make the money to do that, to have extra money on the side to give to charities. I'd love to do that. That would be a real dream come true for me personally. But bottom line is, if that never happens, I'm still committed to seeing this venue offered to our community. I think it'd be great.
When you knock out that false wall upstairs, how you said another 80 to 85 seats. What will the total seating then be?
I think it's going to be 400 when it's
Okay.
all said and done.
Well, you know, I think this is just a wonderful thing, and you know, totally different venue is the Leach Amphitheater.
Yes.
But you know, that was offered up as a gift to the community, and
Yes.
and something that the community could use. And as it turns out, the community can use it, but it comes with a very hefty price tag. And it sounds like this will be something that's more affordable to local groups. And
That's why we're making a nonprofit, you know, because, you know, if you're functioning off of donations and stuff, then you can make it affordable because nobody's in it to make money. We're just there to make it as a wonderful venue for the community.
Sure. Okay, so July 7th, we're just about out of time here, but July 7th is when the first fundraiser comes up, and from 1 to 9?
1 to 10.
1 to 10, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And again, if people want to get involved or, you know, find out more information, they can contact Joe at 232-5683 or Joe at gracechapel-oshkosh.org. That's his email address. Did you have any final question or anything? Or
Just one.
Yes.
Well, you're into other things in the community. Father Carr passed away this week.
Yes.
Could you identify a couple of the real needs of this city that you run into?
The needs are ongoing, never ending, and Father Carr met so many of them. I've had several good conversations with him over the years. Matter of fact, when I first started out on this AIDS thing, he and I were going to work together to try to get an AIDS hospice program going here, but the need was covered so well through different resources in Appleton that we just, if there's no need, you don't really want to pursue it. So, but the needs for those who are hurting financially, medical bills, things like that, people who lose their jobs unexpectedly, housing. Boy, we run into a lot of single moms and dads who they don't have anywhere to put their kids, and it's cold up here in the winter. So the housing, those kinds of things are really important in our community. And so, yeah, I mean, I can identify with those things.
Solutions are more difficult.
The solutions are more difficult. They take more time. They take more commitments. They take elbow grease. Yes, it's difficult.
and a lot of money.
And they take a lot of money. But I've seen in our community a willingness. I mean, it's amazing. Just for example, the maternity home, how the Oshkosh community has jumped in behind that maternity home. And now we have all kinds of churches, all kinds of denominations, all kinds of people who have stepped in and now are helping out with that maternity home. So I know it can be done. And I believe that, you know, the willingness of the Oshkosh community is there. You know, it's just that sometimes you have to lead. You have to step up, you have to share a vision, you have to share a dream, and then just tell folks, follow me, I'll get you started. And once you get them started, they're fine. Then they find their direction and they can get going with it. And I think that's going to happen with this theater.
Okay. Very good. We're going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Donna Lohry from the Winnebago County Board. She's wanting to talk about a project that she's got going. So we'll be back shortly, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with your project.
Oh, appreciate it so much.
We'll be right
Thank
back.
you, Dan.
We just escaped.
I
Escape.
by foot.
Run across a border.
I couldn't practice my religion.
I was put to work in forced labor camps.
If I stay in Cambodia, I would have been dead by now.
If you think differently, then you're an enemy.
If you know how to read and write, you're dead. You speak your mind, you're dead.
The only way to express what I wanted to do was to get out.
I got to the country when I was about 14 years old.
I was 20.
I was 24.
I came here with nothing. No money, no English.
America stood for freedom, it stands for freedom, and that's what all my generation, young generation, wanted to be there.
For the first time, I felt like I have a right to be on this earth.
Here, you can do whatever you want to do.
I love my life here.
I feel at home.
I'm free to do what I want.
Freedom to me means my life.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
a nice day.
You too.
Thanks.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call 1-800-4-A-CHILD. All calls are anonymous and confidential. Trust your instincts.
Poor nutrition today will increase Sarah's chances of anemia, add to her healthcare costs, sick days, even stunt her ability to learn. And the thing is, Sarah's not even born yet. Get proper nutrition before it's too late. Call or visit WIC. WIC provides nutrition information, healthcare referrals, even food. Your child has you, and you have WIC.
Hi, and welcome back to the second half of Eye on Oshkosh. Cheryl Hentz, Dan Rylance, and now we're also joined by Donna Lohry from the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors. Donna is currently halfway through her first term, and this is a first for you coming here to the show, so welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're here not just as a county board supervisor, but as sort of a community activist. You've been involved in a lot of different things over the years, and you've got a new program called Trees for Life that you wanted to tell us about. What exactly is Trees for Life?
Well, before I tell you that, let me tell the audience that I am a county supervisor, but tonight I am representing Glacierland RC&D, which I am connected to because I'm an alternative to them from land water conservation. And so everything I'm doing is all voluntary. This is not being, nothing is being paid for. Okay. So what are Trees for Life? Well, Trees for Life is a vision that I had a long, long time ago because I love trees, and every time I take a trip to Milwaukee or up to Green Bay, the ride is less than scenic. And I've often thought, why doesn't somebody plant some trees along here, beautify it a little bit? And so, you know, that was just a thought. So as time passed and I was elected to the county board, I did ask to be placed on the Land Water Conservation Committee because I love nature. You know, I'm a big gardener, love trees. If I could plant trees, I'd be real happy all day long. So, anyway, as time was passing, the person from Glacierland, RC&D, came to present to Land Water Conservation. And I mentioned to him that I wanted to plant trees all over Highway 41. And he said, oh, that's a wonderful idea. You know, maybe we can help you. Well, let me tell you about Glacierland RC&D then. It is funded through the Farm Act, and it is a takeoff of the old CCC camps, where people in the community went out, planted trees, and did that type thing, and it helped the community. So Glacierland RC&D tries to promote natural resources, teach about things that are necessary. I've gone to seminars that told how to cap off wells that were no longer being used because we don't want things in our groundwater. I have gone to the same seminar, touched on what to do with a sinkhole because Calumet County has sinkholes. So anyway, so there we are. It just fell into place. It fell into place.
All right, so trees. You've brought a map, and we're going to get our floor director, Mary Helen, here to zoom in on that map, and maybe we can show people. We're seeing it now. There's kind of a maroon or a purple or a pink area there, and then you've got little circles or whatever with numbers in them.
Yes.
Tell us what we're looking at.
Yeah.
You are looking at the interchange of Highway 45 and Highway 10 as they come together and lead off in different directions. And the spots that you see in the center of that indicates vacant land. It is land that has nothing on it, it's barren. And the underneath it tells how many acres there are. And today, this morning, there was a meeting of the committee, and the committee consisted of Mr. Hentz of Glacierland, myself, two of our foresters from the DNR who serve Winnebago and Fond du Lac County, and Parks Department, and we determined how many trees can be planted in those particular areas. And we talked a little bit about what type of trees would be appropriate. We'd like to get some nice big trees, native trees to Wisconsin, maples, oaks, things of that type. And so that was what our meeting this morning was all about, trying to decide that.
Each of those numbers has an acreage which we can't see, but roughly how many acres are we talking about?
Oh dear. Well, there's 11.
I know the one on the right is about 8, but so we're talking 20, 30 acres?
Oh, I would say, yeah,
Okay.
20 or 30, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
just a guesstimate. And so some of those areas can take as many as 200 trees because they are, there's a lot of area there. So it's exciting to work with. This is the third meeting that we've had today. The next meeting will be, I will go now to our county highway person, Mr. Hayes, I'm sorry, John Hayes, and ask what he would like, because there are some issues referenced to snow in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. So we would like to keep in mind as we are trying to plant what will service the snow and that type of thing. So that's kind of the idea of
Do we have money for these trees at this point?
Not at this point.
Okay.
We have no money because, and I did that purposely, because as we're moving along here, there's no point in trying to raise any money until we know that the DOT says that this is a lovely plan and we approve it, you have a permit to do this. Because it all has to be permitted.
Does Glacierland have any appropriated money to help?
They will be doing funding. Yes, they
Okay.
will get some grants going,
Okay,
and you
okay.
can have those.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, they will. They'll write grants. And my thought when we started this was not to have government doing this. My thought was that all of the people, the citizens, could donate $1. You know, how many people you have in your household. Donate $1 for that many. Do it through the foundation. I'm hoping that that can be worked so that people send their money to the foundation. I don't want to touch a penny. And then as we need the money to be used for trees and such, it'll be there. Mm-hmm. There's lots of possibilities.
So you've just recently started having meetings. I think the first meeting was held on May 24th, or maybe it was even before that, I think.
Perhaps,
And so what has been discussed and determined at the 2 meetings that have already been held?
The first meeting was an organizational meeting, and at that time we had the people from the DOT out of Green Bay, Department of Transportation came, and also Public Service came, because there are stringent rules that you cannot be getting into sacred ground. We must stay away from sacred ground. And certainly you don't want to plant a tree where there's an on-off ramp and visibility and all those things. They were very, very receptive to doing this, as long as we respect their perimeters, and we certainly will do everything possible to do that. So that was the first meeting. The second meeting was to go out and look at 3 sites. That we visually went out, drove to the area, looked at the sites, saw the acreage and what we were dealing with. And then the following thing was today, setting down with the map. We had a map drawn up. This particular map that you just looked at was done by Land Water Conservation, their land, because they have to know about land, and so they did this for us. And now the next step will be to visit with Mr. Hayes and see what his wishes might be and what kind of trees he would like to have planted, how they would best service him, and then we will sit down and actually go back out to the site, put down markers showing what tree we want here, you know, and then that has to be submitted to the DOT. They have to look at it and say yay or nay. And then we'll try to get money.
Any idea how much money you need to plant the trees you want?
Lots. Lots,
Okay.
lots.
Quantify a little bit further.
Well, I'd say to cover the whole state, $500,000, because this is just the beginning.
Oh, okay, but I'm just talking about this one site. I don't want to...
The one site, I would say at least $80,000
Okay.
and going, you know, depending. The Parks Department today were very good with some suggestions because they plant trees. So they happen to know where you can go in February, and you can, like car dealers or whoever, you know, and you buy from the nurseries and so on and so on. So there was a lot of good ideas floating around today that you can buy. And then, are we going to have volunteers do this? Are we going to put it out for bids to nurseries? You know, all of these things are in the works. We're thinking, you know, all the ideas are coming together.
You know, maybe it's just a thought, but maybe people from local nurseries working with volunteers, kind of like the Little Oshkosh Playground, you know, where you had professional carpenters overseeing things, but yet you had a whole community effort involved. And, you know, I think a lot of people would like to get out there and plant trees and feel like they're helping nurture something.
I would hope so. I would hope so. Because, you know, on the more serious side, yes, we'd love to look at trees, but those trees produce oxygen, and that's the bottom line here. Carbon is produced by automobiles, and we know that these areas, these avenues, are polluted. So we're talking about global warming now. Everyone seems to realize that it's here. So if it's here, each of us in our own way, in our own little communities, and then spread out to the state, can plant trees that will promote clean air. So that's really the bottom line. Yes, we love to look at trees. I love to look at trees, but we're going to clean the air.
Donna, there were a couple other sites now. The map that we looked at was, you said Highway 10 and 45, but there were two other priority sites also. One was south of Highway 26, the intersection of Z and 41.
Yes.
And then the other site that's been listed as a priority site was Highway N.
Yes.
And 41. Now, have they already been decided on for sure that trees will be planted at those two other sites? And maps just not drawn yet?
No,
or?
the maps are here, but we just chose to bring this one in so people would get an overview. Z is just an overpass, and yes, there we would have to plant something that, say sumac, something that would go up on the sides, sumac or dogwood, something like that, that would be low and not get too much height. And N is a beautiful opportunity. That is in Fond du Lac County, which is all right because glacier land covers Fond du Lac County, and so does our forester. So what a marriage here we've got. So, but there's lots of acreage at N. It's an on-off ramp, and it's a gold mine to plant trees. So,
how often do you folks meet? The information I had looks like about once a month.
Yes, we're trying to hold to a once a month, and in fact, I would love, you know, and I'm a racehorse, so I want to get this going. I'd love to do this get something going by fall. I would love to do that. And so it depends just, you know, how things will work. I feel really kind of like I've gotten into a canoe on a real rapid river, and all of a sudden the canoe is going, and I don't know where it's going, and, you know, and it's just going. And so if we can, you know, just go along without pressure. We don't want to be pushing this down anybody's throat, certainly. But if, you know, if we can move along, some trees do plant better in the fall, you know, they do, and some spring. So we'll just see where it takes us.
Okay. And your meeting places change from month to month, correct?
So far we have had them at the Coughlin Center.
Okay, because I thought that one was at Two Brothers, I thought.
We met at Two Brothers. We met there to carpool.
All right,
Yeah.
so you're meeting strictly at the Coughlin Center, and if you're going to carpool, then
Yes.
more information
Well,
comes, I guess,
it
about
was
that.
a place that the people that were going from out of town could leave their car, and so actually we met there and carpooled and went around and visited the sites. Nice that you
really
asked
picked up
about
on
that.
Gave them a plug, I guess.
So I don't know that they know we used their parking lot, but they do now.
Well, I gave them a plug anyhow.
That's right.
And so, if people want more information about this, Donna, who should they contact?
Well, they can contact me, of course. 235-8553. I'm in the phone book and so on. But until we can give that big announcement, that everything's a go, certainly people should think about it, and we'd be happy to have donations and money flowing in. But we have to make sure that everything is in order before we go ahead with that. So.
But the money would go to Graceland?
No.
Glacierland.
No. It would go to a fund, hopefully at the foundation, the Oshkosh Foundation, or a bank, or someplace that is going to be in charge of the money.
But you haven't set that up yet?
No.
Okay. All right.
So right now, even if somebody is sitting at home thinking, I'd like to donate a few bucks to this, they don't send it to Glacierland, they don't send it to the Oshkosh Foundation.
No, nowhere yet.
Okay.
Just hang on to their money.
Just put it in the back
You're
of their
waiting
mind.
for the approval of
Yes.
these various groups? And that.
Yes,
Gotcha.
we have to move along in an orderly fashion.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you want to add about this particular project?
Well, I have lots of thoughts about trees, and I have a wish list. If you'd like to hear some of my wishes, I don't know that they'll ever come up to be, but my wish list would be that in the city of Oshkosh, we would begin to bury our power lines. I hate to say this, but they're very unsightly. That's maybe letting the cat out of the bag and saying something I shouldn't say, but really, I don't find anything attractive about power lines all over the place, and they do hamper, planting things because we don't want to evade the power lines, so on. So that I'd like to see, and especially in the older areas. Some of the well-established areas that we're trying to redo, when there's an opportunity that we could bury some lines, I think we should try to do that. And that maybe needs another fund. That maybe needs a fund where private and business or somebody would, go together and do some of this, because I understand it's fairly costly. But if we could do that in the older city, the older city over by the lake and so on, that would be a nice thing. I'd like to see that. I would also like to see, gosh sakes, everybody who has got some land that is not hampered by a power line to put in a tree, and put in a tree that's going to be large. We have gotten to the point that since that terrible storm we had in '01 where we lost so many big trees, people are thinking, well, don't plant big. Plant 25 feet, that's big enough. No, it's not big enough. And we've got to reverse that thinking. And other people think, well, we don't want any leaves. Goodness sakes, that's a lot of mess. Don't get leaves. Well, along with that line, let's plant the big trees, and when those leaves come, let's have a fall festival. Now, if in the fall, you and I picked up our leaves, put them in black bags, the great big garbage bags, and went, let's say, to the athletic field at the corner of Jackson Drive and New York. At that big athletic field, and it's fall, nobody's playing anything there, let's have the fire department come in and we all put our leaves in a big place, wire it off so it's safe and everybody, and let's have a bonfire. They used to have bonfires years ago when I was a kid. People raked their leaves and then they burnt them. And this would be a way for the families to have, we could have the kids could be there selling hot dogs and whatever, and a family event. And then we wouldn't have our trucks out picking up all the leaves. Obviously, they have to pick up some because everybody's not going to join in this festival. But the neighbors could get together. There's so many things we can do that are positive, that would be fun, get a community spirit going. So that's, and then we could have the big trees again because we could pick up the leaves. Oh, goodness sakes. I've got so many things. I can't think of all of them anymore.
Maybe we could turn to county issues for a few minutes.
Oh,
Would you
dear.
like to do that?
Now I got to put my hat on, my serious
Well,
hat.
we have you here.
My serious thinking hat. Go ahead.
I guess one transition is the horticulture position that was cut.
Well, I'm afraid that I'm gonna, I'm gonna say that anything that I'm seeing cut makes me feel bad.
Okay.
Because I'm of the old school that government can do things that the private people can't do. And so anytime we have somebody that's doing a service to the community wants them, the community needs them, and then we have to cut them, makes me feel very bad. I know that maybe you and I at this table say, well, who cares about horticulturists? Well, there's a lot of people that do. And I was just last week at the town of Clayton, where they had the Master Gardeners had a beautiful seminar at the park in the town of Clayton, and walked out and looked at invasive species. And they now can identify what they are so that they can go out and then spread that around, because we don't like invasive species. Certainly the whole water, our waterways are full of it, things that we don't want. Miller Bay, do I have to say?
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
so we've got to be informed, we've got to educate, and who does this? The horticulturists. There was a young man from the university, the extension there, Jason, and also the forester was there. So these are people that we're paying money for. They've got a wage, and they're working. I'm seeing them work. And those people who were there with the Master Gardeners enjoyed it. We'll take it back and we'll work. So, all right.
Well, you're just, as I mentioned in the beginning, you're just halfway through your first term. It's a year and a couple of months at this juncture. How are things going so far on the county board for you, Donna?
Well, I like the county board. I love it. It's a challenge to me. I'm learning so much. Really, the longer I'm there, the more I understand what I don't know. There's a lot to learn. And it is called county government for a reason. It is the county. So I have been going to meetings at the town of Clayton, town of Neenah, another one I'm going blank on it, and that's where you see those little groups working out. The town of Neenah is building a new firehouse because, and I don't want to tell tales out of school, they didn't have enough room for all of their files. They've got to have a bigger place in order to keep, their things in order. And now we know that the town of Amro has a big thing going on about an airport. Some people bought a farm and now want to turn it into a private little condo thing. Well, that's very important to those citizens in Amro. And certainly as a county board member, I should know about what's going on there because I may have to vote on that. It may come to the board.
See, I think that's such a wonderful thing that you're doing, Donna, because, those towns are not your district, and yet, as you just said, you're going to have to possibly vote on some of these issues. And, I have to say, I covered a lot of township government as a reporter for a lot of years. And I was hard-pressed to find even the county board supervisor for those particular towns coming to their town meetings. And here you are, you're still in your first term, and going to meetings for areas that you don't even represent. And I think that that's very, very commendable.
Well,
and,
thank
and
you.
you should be applauded for that. But you know, as you mentioned to me on the phone when we were setting this up, and again yesterday, you know, there is a disconnect you feel between, you know, the townships themselves and the county board.
Well, I don't know that if there's a disconnect, it probably is that the county, I don't know that all of the people on the board know what is happening in the townships. It would be nice, I think, you know, if I had my druthers, it would be nice as a board member to have the town chairs coming and giving us a little rundown of what's happening in their communities, you know. And but I'm so new on the board that maybe this isn't necessary. You know, it's just what I would like to see, because I think it would help me to understand the big picture. And this is a big picture. This is a big picture.
Well, it is, and you know, I have personally seen, and I think it probably goes on more often than we think, just things getting rubber stamped at the county level, and probably in large part because they don't understand what's going on in the towns, how it's going to affect those individual towns and their people.
Well, that's why I'm trying to understand, because if something comes before me, I would like to have a little idea of the workings so I can understand better what is happening. Several of the things that we've been dealing with have been changes in our ordinances. Well, if you're changing an ordinance, you know, first of all, you need to know what the old one was, and then you need to know what the impact is going to be. And so I think that for myself, this is where I need to learn. I need to learn to recognize these things. There's a lot of intricacy in planning and zoning. That is the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things certainly, because that is changing. You know, you're changing zonings, you're changing this, you're changing that, and that all is very legal. And so, so those are things that I really have to get more familiar with.
Do you have committee structures within county government that handles these?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
So you get reports from your committees?
Yes, that's indeed correct.
Yeah. Go ahead. I hate to ask this, but I'm going to. Are you satisfied with the progress made on reducing the number of supervisors? Where are you at on that?
Well, this has been a learning process as well. When I first was elected, and really, I think I was, what's the thing, were you blindsided? Is that the term I'm looking for? All of a sudden, you know, I'm a new member, and here comes this big falderall, you know, that we're going to reduce your board and we want it down to 19 and this, that, and whatever. Well, I did not feel that the people who elected me felt that I should dismantle their government. That wasn't, it was nothing that I knew anything about. So I voted not to do that. I voted that we should reduce to 36, then give it some serious thought, well, for myself, so I knew, could make a decision. And as I'm going along, just learning this first year has been a full-time job for me. It's been full-time, and I'm not being paid for it. I am only paid when I'm representing the county. So all of the learning I'm doing is on my own nickel, my own dime, and I do it because I love it. You know me, I'm a junkie, you know, a political junkie. So I'm doing this because this is what I do. But you can't expect somebody else to come in. And what other people do not know is that in my house, now I have an office. I don't have a secretary. I have all kinds of paper which I've asked for. I've asked for the meetings of all the minutes so that I can, you know what's going on. And that's a lot of time to read. It's a lot of time. So really, if you're going to reduce that board, you'd better figure that you're going to give an office space to those people. You're going to give them use of a secretary, and you're going to pay them more. You're going to pay them more.
Well, I wish we had more time to continue on that subject alone, but unfortunately we don't. So 235-85 53 is
Correct.
your phone number.
Correct.
For more information on the Trees for Life program. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you
Donna.
for having
Yeah.
me very
Good
much.
luck with your tree project.
Thank you, thank you.
And Dan, thanks to you.
You bet.
And as always, thanks to you at home for letting us into your homes for the last hour. We'll see you again. Until then, take good care. Keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.